Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus and so's my wife. Wrong movie. Oh. It actually is funny when you think about it. How both Monty Python, Life of Brian, and Spartacus are both in the Criterion collection. And within 100 movies of each other. That's not the funny part. But anyway. Welcome. Nate Jackson, Criterion Collection Reviewer Guy with number 105. Spartacus, which actually took me less time to do than I thought it would. Which means that it's going to take me less time to review it than I think it will. Anyway. So, what can you say? 1960, 190 minutes, directed by some guy named Stanley Kubrick. You know Kubrick. He did the movie about the little girl, the little slut girl, and he did the movie about the weird computer with the red dot and the bone in the air, and then he did the movie about the elevator full of blood and the guy on the tricycle, and he did the movie about the two people whose eyes are at a cross of which whether they should be open or closed. What else did he do? Oh yeah, he did that other movie. No, that's about the size of his. Oh yeah, he did that movie about the guy with the eyes pried open. Yeah. Anyway, you know Kubrick. Yeah. So yeah, he did a couple movies. Yeah, they're kind of apparently they did pretty well. I don't know. Anyway, but this one is actually one where he just basically directed. Apparently, all of the other films he had like full artistic. The artistic vision was his. This is just Spartacus directing. I mean Kubrick directing Spartacus. But in a sense, because Kubrick didn't have full, it was just directing. Maybe the movie was directing him. I don't know. Anyway, so Spartacus, Kirk Douglas plays Spartacus, the slave who works for the Romans. Who's under the Romans. You got all the slaves, and he is kind of rebellious. And they send a slave in to have him to rape, and her name is Bernier. She's played by Gene Simmons, and he doesn't want to have sex with her and all that, and when he realizes that the Romans are just watching and all that, and so they train him to become a gladiator for the Roman Empire, and at some point, Bernier is bought by I think Marcus Linnaeus Crassus. I think it's Crassus. It's played by Mr. Sir Laurence Olivier. I still like calling him Mr., but you have to add Sir because that's part of his name. So there you go. Sir Laurence Olivier. Anyway, so Verena is bought by him. She goes away. Spartacus is pissed because they develop a slight bond for each other. And he goes and knocks out the guard, and there's a whole big rebellion, and so eventually all the slaves escape, and Spartacus becomes the leader, and they plan to take over the Roman Empire, and they build this empire, and he and Vernia are reunited. They quote unquote become married. She has his child at one point eventually, and they get and Tony Curtis plays Antonius, who is this singer of songs, and he's magician man. And at first he's with Crassus, but I think it's supposed to apparently implied that Crassus likes both men and women, and so when he kind of hits on Antonius, he gets the hell out of there. He's like, fuck that, I ain't going in this. So basically. So anyway, what happens next is Spartacus builds up his team, and they go off and eventually word gets around that Spartacus is building this team, and so the Romans and the slaves battle, and everybody dies. Practically, that's my summary. And basically, a whole bunch of people die. And but eventually, Vernia gets captured again, and Crassus tries to seduce Vernia, or tries to make her his wife, and trying to be better than Spartacus. And in the end, they eventually want Spartacus, and that's what they all say. Oh, I'm Spartacus, I'm Spartacus, I'm Spartacus. They don't want Spartacus to die, so they all take credit for him and everything he did for them. But eventually, it comes down to a point where Spartacus is to be crucified, and but they're not sure whether or not it's between Spartacus or Antonius. So they have a fight to the death, and Spartacus kills Antonius because he doesn't want to see Antonius be crucified. Yeah, Antonius doesn't want Spartacus to be crucified, and so he kills him, and Spartacus is crucified, and at the end, Vernia is reunited with him, and she shows him the sun, and then he goes away, and that's basically the movie. Don't you just love my shitty little synopsises? But to be honest with you, I mean, when you got a well over 3 hour, not snooze. It wasn't a snooze fest. It was quite interesting. Kirk Douglas is an amazing actor. I mean, they're all amazing actors. There's a lot of great acting in this film. But at one point, Kubrick gets in there and just makes it. Just directs and directs and directs. And at some point, apparently in the supplements, this first edit was 6 hours long. Shut up. Kubrick, shut up. So what can we say? I mean, it's an epic. It's a huge epic. I believe this is the I want to say this is the longest film we've seen in the Criterion Collection. I don't remember how long. No, actually, no. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 196. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Seven Samurai is still the longest film we've seen. I'm not sure. Now I kind of wish I had compared and contrasted and had that factoid for you guys ready. But whatever. Who cares? You know more than I do. So anyway. Well, I just realized that this movie's rated PG-13. But yeah. I just noticed that. I never knew that. I guess this is a new rating because PG-13 rating didn't come in until like the 90s or something, late 80s, 90s. So I guess they had to redo it for this release. And yeah, so Kubrick directs, and it's a pretty interesting epic. Storyline gets a little weird. I feel like there are some scenes that were a little extraneous. And for that, I'm going to give it B-. I can't give it a C. It's pretty cool. But yeah, B-. It goes on really friggin' long, and some scenes are, like I said, some scenes could have been cut, and yeah, it just kind of drags on way too long for me. So I'm giving it a B-. Hope you guys don't crucify me for that. That was an unintentional joke. That was totally improvised, off the top of my afro joke. You can laugh if you want to. Anyway, so supplements, all of disc 2, which honestly doesn't take as long to get through as it does the movie. I'm surprised that that there aren't like 4 hours of supplements on here. But I'll tell you what they got. They got some deleted scenes, some scenes that were cut between the UK and the US. Very minimal stuff. Vintage newsreel footage. I love the newsreels. A lot of British newsreels by this time. I guess back in the 60s, I guess they were still showing British newsreels before their movies, which was cool. I love seeing, they highlighting Kirk Douglas and Tony Curtis. Let's see, 1960 promotional interviews with Gene Simmons and Peter Ustinov. They did what was known as formula interviews, which I'd never seen, where they interview them and then there's like blank space where the news interviewer can like dub in their own voices. They have to ask the same questions, but they get to dub in their own voices. So it looks like they're interviewing them, but they're not really interviewing them. It's just the person who was there with Gene and Peter interviewing them. There's also another interview with Peter Ustinov from 1992, which is very anecdotal and very humorous. But his 1960 interview is very funny. His weird little sound effects he makes. What else? Behind the scenes gladiatorial school footage. That's another one that's like it's basically just some silent footage with Kirk Douglas like acting with like fake, wood swords, Very, very, very interesting. I think Ustinov gets in the play and gets in the fun at one point. There's some storyboards by Saul Bass. Production stills, trailer. There was a comic book. It's kind of cool. Posters, print ads. Sketches by Kubrick. And then finally, and the final thing that's there is the 1960 documentary, The Hollywood 10, plus archival documents about the blacklist. So apparently in the late 40s, there was this thing going around that said that in Hollywood there were a bunch of communists. And they got 10 people that they felt were communists and said, I want you guys to tell us who are the communists. And they wouldn't say. So they all went to jail. They all went to prison. And Spartacus, and being blacklisted meant that they couldn't work in Hollywood. They wouldn't be allowed in the studios because of their alleged ties to the Communist Party. Which I think is stupid. But I didn't live in the 50s. I don't know how scary communism was back then. But considering, and I guess maybe we were all in panic because of the war and all that. But come on now. We gotta lighten up as a people. But yeah, so basically Spartacus was apparently the first movie to list a blacklisted writer in the credits. So it was a big deal. And so Spartacus, so a lot of people protested Spartacus. And yeah, it was a big deal. And so there was a little documentary that was made right after they all got arrested in 1950, I think. And yeah, it has them talking about their side of the story. And there's just a lot of background information behind it. And yeah, it's an interesting topic, one I'd like to maybe look into a little more. Hopefully there's another movie in the Criterion collection that discusses the blacklist a little more. And then there's one other thing that's on here that was in the trailer, that was in the supplements that's not on the description here. There was a letter from the MPAA, which was the MPAA was the Hays Code, and it basically was the censorship board, and it had excerpts from the page, the script, and they would list things that they wanted deleted, list the things that they needed toned down, the violence and all that, words that they shouldn't use, lines that needed to be deleted. A lot of the things that they cut were references to Kranis's homosexuality, especially with him and Antonius. A lot of the blood sequences had to be cut, apparently. Words like damn had to be cut. Now, none of these things were cut. Well, I don't know about this. There's one, in one scene, Vernia is bathing nude in the water. And they said, oh, this absolutely has to be cut. But I saw it. I mean, they don't show any boobs, They don't show any of her breasticles. So I don't know what they were tripping about. But I guess for 1960, that was still a big deal. So, especially in glorious Technicolor. So yeah, that was one of the more interesting supplemental things about this movie. So that's all I can say about Spartacus. So B-, if you have over 3 hours to kill, check it out. Otherwise, you can give it an S. Or especially if you love Laurence Olivier, being all Laurence Olivier. And that's it. So, thanks for watching. Next, 106, Bernard Travenor's Coup de Torchon, or Coup de Torchon. I'm going to learn how to pronounce this. Or Clean Slate. I'll just call it Clean Slate. But that's so American of me. No, it's actually very American of me to call it Clean Slate rather than Coup de Torchon. It would be Criterion of me to constantly call it Coup de Torchon. It's a clean slate. How about that? I'm an American, so there. And yeah, we'll probably get to this one probably Thursday. I want to say Thursday. More than likely Thursday, maybe Saturday. I'm not sure right now, but sometime before the end of the week. So keep your eyes peeled. Keep a song in your heart, the stars in the sky, and all that crap. Then after that, Mona Lisa. I'm still waiting on Mona Lisa, so I don't know. That may not get here soon. Might not be for a week. I don't know. It's on hold for somebody else. And yeah, they need to watch it and give it back to me because I can't get another copy of it, or at least the Criterion version. Speaking of not being able to get Criterion versions, I am unable to. I was unable to snag a copy of the Criterion edition of The Rock, of Michael Bay's The Rock, which was I think 107. No, 108. So we will probably be watching a non-Criterion edition, and I'll just have to add the supplements when I get to it. You know, if I can ever find a copy, or if I like it too much, then I'll buy it. You know, then that'll be taken care of. And then 109, Scarlet Empress is on its way. And yeah, like I said, but right now we're waiting on Mona Lisa. So, but for now, yeah. So that's it. So thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves. Don't be a slave. And if you do be a slave, you know, beat your freedom, beat your slavedom, and be Spartacus. And yeah, you be Spartacus. Stand up for Spartacus, because Spartacus stood up for you. How many times am I gonna say Spartacus? Spartacus, Spartacus, Spartacus. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we will see you probably sometime later this week for Clean Slate. I almost said Criterion, but no, I am not Criterion, even though I wear the shirt. Anyway, goodbye, y'all.